Pick up the pyramid with one hand only, point to palm. Place it against a wall, and press. Notice it cannot be compressed in a static environment. As you turn it, you will notice the point in your hand is the first to disappear. You will need to use two hands to keep your chest to square, hands to circumference. By instinct you'll try to orient center. This stage is thermodynamic processing of the nuclei. Eventually all things plane, laid flat, scraped space. With universal instinct, hold your palm flat up. The point is stable, the pyramid point to palm is spinning, not hurting by hand. Push up gently as it turns. A vacuum updraft effect is starting to form in the pressurized environment. We see several marks of equilibrium, and calendars, solar symbols, are produced to help you take the ripple at the knees, then bounce on brand new meanings. We have people to do that for us. Just curious, but what's the deep state? Somewhere to start from. A symbol in the sand laid bare by years of exposure times thousands. The four-sun system eventually forms a halo to your system of planets in momentum wide, then narrowing. Not just moving, but traveling, regarding a northern orient. In a system like that, they didn't generally interpret or think of long cycle as final conclusion, or the end of history, but especially not evolution. The breath reference expanse. Expectation center of calendar to open up and out, not collapse as a mark. End of the world notations to the equilibrium markers. We'll see how long that lasts. Your planet string is now swirling around, but within this four-sun system as momentous dynamicas, not the momentous stasis of the two-sun system. Once the four suns hit the upper sheathing of the double-sided drum, it takes 3 doors, 4 knocks. From there the coil of planets wind up, and as they do, your sun spread out on the bottom sheathing, now expansive. No longer narrowing up, you shoot into an entirely unanticipated context. You will never see it done, and yes, I'm talking to you too. Surprise. Are we moving on to the Mayans already? Okay, the Ma, Y, and then. Hold on. K. Section 3. On Maya. How'd it happen? The solar collapse, I mean. Let me tell you. 413, and I forgot the vertical axis thing. The planetary dynamic of the casket rising up is that you experience a polar shift, not a flip of halves, just turning of quarters. You have a horizon perspective, but the North Pole tips west, then back 1/8, some to 1/16. Those, by the way, are very special places. West click 1, back 2. For us the experience of inertia provides traction, not momentum. Long short we're going different directions, but the horizon tips center, then we're off 2, 6, 8. For us magnetic polar rendering releases dynamic stasis, and the air is like food as much as water. Turning prospectus of earthly orient around triple-sided double spade. Lifetimes of perspective, suns of 4 vertical. Axis alignment. New horizontal. A real new place to start from. 4 suns swirling above feet. Small but certainly tensive updraft effect, 4 winds from the heart. Much more information comes out because of this. The story of Maya. Einstein fell off his bike, I believe, while considering in his own unique way whether relevance preceded truth or truth relevance. He received an answer by terms of relevant momentum. Truth lies at the edge of relevance by description. Thereon encouraging his disciples to go ride bicycles. How do you relate with someone in terms of verbal communicability when you have shared so few of my experiences? In the sense of with me. A combination ratio of wealth analysis, where 1 or 2 gathered, but rarely more so. So symbols and stories and images like pentagram and the Tau sign are places to start from. Building the symbols ahead of ourselves as achievement. The northern updraft effect is still from the ground, feet, and chest. Down to earth. Make me your E. knowing how those carrying good books as truth's interpreters have sought labels and pronouns to finally explain for them who or what describes the number as a living reference, sacrifice. I release you. Thank you. Nothing like that new pride smell of a direct evasive stepping off the lot and fresh into an abyss. Now we both have something to be proud of. Your universe is falling rate of gravity, square the speed of light. What the fuck? You will square root your way to the specifics. The crooked genius. I've learned the scale of balance is the sun. I learned a Pep and Horus aren't destinies linked to a specific someone. I learned the currency on the scale of balance is a quotient relation released from skin by the energy relation to the content. Determined by the purpose of observation, I on the pyramid. I, heart, feather, skin. I'm here because I have laid back attitude for successes. The challenge for me was to escape the boredom of constant equilibrium. The equilibrium marking is related to how the animal, that's important, electron interacted with the charged particle, the particle we are here describing. When questioned about my own participation, the answer was we needed an animal to describe it. There must be someone else, there is. Thought it was his heart, didn't you? Keep to the balanced scales. Your sun's four winds. It is an energetic charge stasis projected from the sun's birth. These winds form repellent features between the wing divisions. These borders create in the sun semi-autonomous regions for a retention stasis, dynamic centrifugal centers near or at the borders. Spinning, twirling, speaking and trading places. The centrifugal borders as retention stasis are left untouched. Design Giza, Kingdom of God described by John in Revelations, Stonehenge if you have a Pythagorean mind bent. The perpendicular archways anticipating the breath reference back and then in front. 12 prisms stacked deck of experience, 8 is the clear one. Perspective 2 circles 1 image red green etc. Triune expression is fantasy for most, but for others it can be an exhilarating, tiring series of experiences. Your DNA code is in process of reverse unravel, has gaps centered at 2 points equaling 7 in 8 different stages or places of hormonal, later quantic forms of structural framing. Later stages. The helix strand stands up and begins to gestate in a unique sequential series of momentums, and as it does actual seed pods like almond blossoms arise and form a field gap response. 3 door knocks and a response. 3 nuts rise forming a new heliogenic knot-centric unfolding of the landscapes. Code modulation forms are embedded in your DNA, similar to a fish and monkeys sharing things in common and separate gaps annexes that cannot be found by cutting or design modifications of combination. Unraveled by disparate experiences, exercises. These forms rise like larvae similar to the Adidas symbol. A child of God, a son, a new star born. You worked through the nodes of enlightenment, but with a common and purposed weight. The field gaps keep rising in disparate places and these form hierarchical features. An olive branch comes to mind, not sure what to do. The structures once in place have for a centering reference, expansive didactic not synthetic,